The morning sunlight spilled over the bustling city like a blessing that forgot to touch only one man. Evan Calder, a 39-year-old single father who stood outside the towering glass building of Valon Aerotech with his worn-out briefcase and a nervous hope he could barely hold together. He had applied for a ground-level logistics job, not glamorous, not high-paying, but steady enough to put food on the table for his 10-year-old daughter, Maris. He had told her that today might be the day life finally started getting better. But as he stood under the shadow of that building, he felt something tightening around his chest, the ghosts of a life he never spoke about wrapping him in a silent choke. And then, like a cinematic blow from the universe, the moment he stepped inside, the CEO insulted him in front of everyone, unaware that an emergency call from the skies would soon reveal the truth he had spent nearly a decade hiding. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more life-changing stories to you. The lobby of Valon Aerotech was sharp, cold, and metallic, mirroring the personality of its CEO, Reginald Hawke, a man whose reputation for brilliance was matched only by his icy arrogance. The employees rose when he walked past, not out of respect but out of fear. Evan had barely taken a seat near the interview area when Hawke's voice cut through the air like a blade. He was scolding a junior engineer for a small error on a report, his words filled with disdain. Evan tried to shrink into the chair, praying he wouldn't be noticed. But fate had a cruel sense of humor. Hawke's eyes landed on Evan, scanning him from head to toe, his faded shirt, his scuffed shoes, the old briefcase. Without warning, he walked toward him, his lips curling in distaste. Evan stood quickly, unsure what to do. Hawke stared at him as if something foul had stepped into his company. "Are you lost?" Hawke said sharply, loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. "This is a corporate office, not a charity shelter." A few employees cast sympathetic glances, but quickly looked away when Hawke turned. Evan felt heat rising to his face, humiliation burning beneath his skin. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words tangled. He wasn't used to defending himself. Life had taught him to stay quiet and survive. But inside, something cracked. Not for himself, he could endure shame, but for Maris. She had waited for months for her dad to get a chance like this, and he was being shamed before the interview even began. "I'm here for the logistics position," Evan finally managed, his voice steady but soft. Hawke scoffed. "You? With that posture, those clothes? I can already see you slowing my entire department down. Don't waste our time." Evan swallowed hard. The receptionist stepped in, attempting to redirect Hawke, but he had already lost interest, walking away with the same cold arrogance he entered with. Evan tried to breathe. The day had barely begun, and yet it already felt ruined. The interviewer eventually called him in. A kind-eyed woman named Brielle Antos, who seemed embarrassed by the CEO's behavior. She asked him questions gently, listened patiently, and even smiled encouragingly. But Evan could feel it. Hawke's words had poisoned the room before he even began. He walked out of the interview unable to tell whether he had a chance or none at all. Still, he forced himself to smile as he picked up Maris from school. She ran toward him with that sunshine grin that made any wound feel less deep. She held his hand, swinging it playfully, telling him about her drawing, her math test, and a new recipe she wanted to try. Evan nodded, letting her voice pull him back from the heaviness of the morning. But as they sat together on the bus ride home, watching the city roll past, Evan's phone buzzed. He glanced down and felt his heart sink. It was an automated rejection email. From Valon Aerotech. Not even a personalized message, just another closed door. That night, after Maris fell asleep, Evan sat at the small kitchen table, staring at the bills piling up. His chest tightened. He had no one to call, no family left, and his past, his real past, was something he swore never to drag his daughter into. Sometimes he wondered if he was foolish for trying to live quietly, anonymously, pretending he had never been someone else entirely, someone capable of doing more, someone who once wore a uniform and carried the weight of many lives on his shoulders. But that life was gone. He walked away for a reason. 3 days later, he received a call that surprised him. Brielle Antos wanted him to come in for a second-stage assessment. Confused but hopeful, Evan made his way back to the company at noon. The lobby was unusually tense. People rushed around, urgently speaking into phones. The security guard hurried past, whispering something about the CEO being stuck mid-flight. Evan frowned. It sounded serious. Suddenly, Brielle appeared, breathless and frantic. Her eyes widened when she spotted Evan. "Oh, thank goodness. I was hoping you'd arrive early," she said. "Evan, we need your help." "My help?" he asked, baffled. Before she could answer, the building's emergency communication system chimed, and the speaker crackled with the voice of the airline captain himself. "This is Captain Rhodes of Flight 782. We have a critical emergency. Our navigation system is down, and we require immediate remote support from Valon Aerotech's aviation division. We have CEO Reginald Hawk on board. Repeat, we need urgent ground assistance." The entire lobby froze. Hawk was mid-flight and in danger. Employees scrambled, but nothing was working. The aviation systems manager was stuck off-site, the emergency technical specialist was unreachable, and the backup support team was spread across 2 different states that day. "It's chaos," Brielle whispered. "No one knows what to do." Evan listened carefully. Something inside him awakened. Instincts he thought he buried for good. He instantly recognized the panic in the captain's voice, the coded phrasing, the severity of the tone. He could hear the subtle wind turbulence in the background. He could almost see the situation. A memory flashed. Him, years ago, in a dim control tower, guiding a failing aircraft through a storm with only a cracked monitor to rely on. Before he could stop himself, his voice cut through the air. "What exactly did the captain say?" he asked firmly. Brielle repeated the message. Evan took a deep breath. "The captain didn't say navigation alone failed. He said the system is down, which means they're likely losing altitude stabilization. That aircraft has less than 15 minutes before things get irreversible." The room went silent. "How do you know that?" someone whispered. But Evan was already scanning the emergency console panels. "That plane needs a manual override relay from the ground to stabilize its GPS reroute. Your staff knows the system architecture, but they don't know the old military spec override." "I do." Brielle stared at him. "Evan, who are you?" He ignored the question and stepped into the control room. The technicians looked lost and startled when he began issuing calm, precise instructions. He walked them through reactivating dormant back-end pathways, configuring emergency channels, and stabilizing signal frequencies. His voice never shook. His hands never trembled. It was like watching someone return to a world they never truly left. Minutes later, the speaker crackled again. "Ground control, this is Captain Rhodes. We're receiving the manual override. Altitude is stabilizing. Correction protocol successful. I repeat, successful. Whoever just did that, thank you. You saved us." The lobby erupted in shocked relief. Evan stepped back, quietly exhaling, his chest rising with a tremor he desperately tried to suppress. It had been years of burying what he once was, lead air. Command Specialist Evan Calder, the man who once guided rescue operations for the Air Defense Authority, a man revered,